All right, well, our next item considers the meaning of higher education. Dirk,
okay.
Very astute of us to talk about higher education, I think. But specifically how it affects both job seekers and employers. A 4-year degree, and that of course was once looked at as the golden ticket to a great sustainable career. Well, it's now, I think I can just say it, it's kind of devolved to the point where it's really a bare minimum requirement for the lowest entry level McJob. So how did that happen and why? I mean, think about that.
Right.
I mean, a couple of generations ago, if you had a 4-year degree from a good college, you were kind of set, right? I mean, sure, if you needed a specialty career like law or medicine, you had to continue to go. But for many careers, four-year degree was, you were set, man.
Right.
You were ready to go. But again, it's not that way now. So for some possible answers as to why that is not the case anymore, you can look at an article which appeared on the Courts at Work blog. The title of the article is Corporate America's Insistence on 4-Year Degrees is a Costly Mistake. And we linked out to in Monday's issue of the Quality Digest newsletter. There's a particularly enlightening statistic at the start of this article that really, in fact, gets to the heart of what's going on here. So let's take one little job, one little industry, one little particular function in particular. This is production supervisors. Now there are, according to this article, 600,000 production supervisor jobs in the United States today. Of those production supervisors, those who are on the job, just 16% currently hold a 4-year degree. However, 67% of current job listings for production supervisors require at least a 4-year degree.
It's not really required. I mean, we don't need you to have it because you don't really need it, but you got to have it in order to get hired.
To get hired. That really shows what's going on here. And this increase in requirements, it hurts, of course it hurts potential employees, but it hurts employers as well. I mean, for those that want these jobs, the need to get a degree can often create massive amounts of debt that might take these men and women years and not decades to pay off. We've seen that, of course.
Sure.
Many can't or won't take on the debt and thus are going to forego college. So there's a smaller than necessary pool of potential applicants for these jobs. And what does that do? Call it scarcity, right? The scarcity of applicants is going to drive up the cost to the employers in terms of salaries that they must pay to fill that jobs, because they have a smaller than necessary pool because the requirements they've asked for may be above what the job really requires,
what's needed,
right?
Yeah.
So some organizations are taking steps to address this issue. Walmart, for one, is opening up academies to train managers in the kind of soft skills that they might expect from college graduates. And by the way, this is one of the things that the article talks about as a problem, is that a lot of companies want those soft skills, the ability to communicate and express themselves, and either verbally or through writing, email, whatever, in working with managing either employees or customers, whatever it may be. And that's one way of kind of assuring that you have the soft skills, maybe, is to say, well, we're just going to separate the wheat from the chaff, and only those with 4-year degrees we're going to hire. So Walmart's taking the opposite approach, to say, well, we'll train you in those soft skills after we get you in. We're not going to filter you out at the beginning. We're going to bring you in if you're a fit, and then we'll train you.
By the way, a lot of 4-year degrees don't necessarily mean you have those soft skills.
Anyway,
you have technical skills, but not necessarily soft skills.
Another one is IBM, and what IBM is doing is they're partnering with public education systems to create 6-year high school programs to generate graduates with strong vocational skills. So you go to high school until you're 20 or so. You get out and you've had now 6 years of training from the time you're a freshman in high school till you get out. And of course the latter part of that's going to be very intensively focused on some of those vocational skills. And what this really tells us is that the skills gap, I think, is real, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But an overlooked one really is this increasing ramping up of minimum requirements for job applicants, and maybe they don't need that many requirements. And when you have that, you kind of exacerbate this problem with the skills gap, because people who maybe have the skills, but you filter them out because they don't have a 4-year degree, well, you're losing out. And again, you're then having to pay more for the people that you do get, because they say, hey, I'm a college graduate. I want 20% more than you want, maybe you want to pay or you can pay for somebody who doesn't have that degree.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the growth in vocational training, which, as we've talked several times, is on the upswing.
I think it is.
Maybe companies will be looking more towards, I think maybe what they might be leery of, and just guessing, is, well, you only have a high school degree.
Right.
well, maybe if they had a vocational degree, they wouldn't look as much to see for a college degree. I think they're making this differentiation between you've only got a high school degree. Well, that's not enough. So what's the next choice? Well, a college degree.
But what if you're a person that is incredibly intelligent, perceptive, and you have a lot of skill, but you happen to be born in an area or in a family that just doesn't have financial resources?
No.
And you're like, I can't go to college.
Yeah.
But I'm an 18-year-old who's got a lot on the ball.
Yeah.
And you don't even give that person an interview. Who's losing? They're losing. You're losing too.
Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about here. Really interesting article. Courts at Work.
No, Courts. If you've never seen it, it's a great website. A lot of interesting articles on there. Really well laid out website too.
Good stuff.